On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Come on.
Let's rock!
Welcome back to the Resupply with me, guy next door.
Me, DK.
And me, Van.
Yeah, bringing you your fucking, well, I don't know, something musical, double tap of all things Space Marines and
I
Laser
didn't
Force.
know we were doing the sing-along version today.
I'm in a karaoke mood. Well, I'm not really, but I did do a little bit of karaoke at Laser Force this week. Fucking love that edition. Such a good touch. Yeah. Hi, gentlemen. It's nice to see you. How are you? You good? You good?
I mean, I'm on vacation right now, so yeah, I'm great. I'm fine.
You do have an especially Californian air about you today. So laid back, dude.
You're getting jaunty thin because he's like, oh, thank God, I don't have to work for another week.
Yeah, I can get paid for sleeping in. It's
we like that.
gonna be great. You know, coming to and you know, since my hometown is so war torn right now, I definitely need the time away from work to recover.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got tanks rolling down your street, right?
What?
Totally. Yeah.
In Sacramento?
No, Portland.
Oh, peaceful tanks though.
Yeah, not gonna lie, it's a little scary over here right now. And all of our watchers in other countries, good for you for not being here. But we're gonna try to distract ourselves a little bit from that today, because like they say, you can't just not water your plants because there's Nazis outside, because if you don't, you'll just have dead plants and Nazis, and who wants that?
No one. That's who. Cool for you guys. That sounds really awesome. I forgot to change my glasses to my better glasses. There we go.
I was like, hold on, call me unobservant, but that looks shockingly like a very similar pair of glasses.
Yeah, these ones I like these ones for broadcast better. Because they make me look smarter.
Okay.
It's totally working.
That's certainly an opinion.
I feel like it's like that episode of Arrested Development. Have we tried glasses off, hair up? Glasses off. No, glasses off.
Yeah, hair down. Yeah, it's we're tracking along. Sorry for the lack of show last week. I got called out. I was taking my cousin to the airport, and was gonna be like, I don't know, 10 minutes late probably due to traffic. And we had to end the show early last week, so we're like, fuck it, let's just do no show and go get Popeyes instead. So that's what I did.
I mean, that seems like a reasonable thing to do instead of doing a show. Because it worked out because then I wasn't scrambling to get to soccer, thinking like, oh my God, like we have to drop like right now, and we could have been in the middle of something. And yeah, it was a much less stressful day.
Yeah.
The whole way
I was
around.
like, I don't care, man. I'll do whatever. Do a show, don't do a show. I don't know. Wake me up later. Who cares?
You are also on holiday, I see. If you could
now, this is just the fuck it mindset that I've adopted since the summer.
Easing into your 40s. Out of curiosity, to Popeye's chicken in the States, is it the same kind of orange and teal kind of color scheme that it is here?
I don't know as much about the teal, but it's like definitely orange is like the major color.
Yeah.
It's usually like orange background with red lettering, with kind of like white outline. Maybe there's like some teal in some of the packaging, but a lot of orange and white motif.
Maybe it's just because they're all like newly built here. We only got it like within the year, I think. And like the buildings, they're like, they look like, I don't know, they look like I don't know if you've been to Disney and been in Cars Land or whatever it is. It looks like the building's there. It's awesome. But yeah, get yourself some Popeye's chicken. We're totally not sponsored by them, but you should go get Suicide and Popeye's chicken.
But if they want to sponsor us, I'll show for Popeye's chicken. That's fine.
It's really good.
What they lack in customer service, they make up for in quality of chicken.
To be fair, I did sit in the drive-thru for 20 minutes. It was awesome.
That's just an average Popeyes experience in the States. There could be no one else in line. You might still be at the drive-thru for 20 minutes.
It was pretty fucking busy. Pretty busy.
Yeah.
As you might have noticed, I'm sporting the new Broforce t-shirt that put together this week. I'm trying to work on like actually getting some Broforce pop vinyl type figurines made.
I mean, you got the design down because, like, I can clearly tell who's supposed to be who on there.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It turned out really cool. But this is
I like the summer versus winter beardo look for Frosty and Cray.
You look happy? Yeah, I mean I think it's perfectly encapsulated.
Yes.
Last time I saw you in person, which might have been at like a comedy club, you look pretty much like that. So
he's that comedian guy.
Yeah, he's that comedian guy. He's famous and shit. But if anyone wants to buy one of those tees or any other t-shirt that we have, this is something that I don't really push that often because I'm not gonna lie, I forgot that I set it up. But we have we got a t-shirt merch store, which is that link there. Go check it out because there's cool shirts and junk. That link, I don't know, can't remember. Yeah, that side.
Yep, shows off to a flyer today.
Yeah,
It's a day.
It's gonna be a good one. Do we have any housekeeping before we get into what we're talking about? We played lasers this week and it was fun.
I mean, fuck you.
Yeah, I did something I haven't done in a long time, and I did a 5-chain. Which I'm not sure. Well, I mean, you know, it is. So we went into the game. Me and Sneak had been made the commanders for the game. Right. We were coming up against some decent heavies. Maybe they were newbie heavies. I can't remember. But we had a gentleman's agreement. Hey, look, this game isn't really for us to go apeshit. Perhaps we will go easy. And if you're looking, there's no stats.
Well, fuck you then. This is all just speculation.
I did not know the stats, partially because I forgot that that's something that I have to do if Orange isn't there. But also B, like, it's one of those games that, like, do you want to capture the stats for that game? I don't think so.
Absolutely. Let's hear more about this 5-chain that you allegedly did.
It totally happened. But yeah, we sort of had a gentleman's agreement. Hey, look, we won't like go in and play hard out. It's just like chill. And both of us did. We chilled. And I came out and I was like, how the fuck did I get like that's, I think it was like 14 grand or something.
Yeah, probably thereabouts. If you had 5 nukes, you're probably even in the 13, 14 range.
Yeah. And like, he was like, you were as casual as I was that whole game. And I was like, I know. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
When you play against bad players, it's easy to score a lot of points. I don't know what to tell you.
I'd love to stand there and let people just run past me whilst I shoot them in every game I play. But sadly, you know, Laser Force doesn't often work out that way. But yeah, I kind of adopted the mindset of something that Rusty's brought up before, and that's, you know, if you drop nukes as you get them throughout the game, the likelihood is that you're probably going to kill that team out faster, and therefore, like, what are they going to learn from that experience? So, you know, we both held off. I dropped 5 and brought Sneak down to 2, and then he chained 4 because he sucks. But yeah, it was a good evening. We had a few like brand new people come along, so we played, you know, a lot of standard, a lot of other funish games. So had a couple, it's school holidays here, so we had a couple of like young dudes that probably like 10, maybe a little younger, but they actually apparently they've been there every day in the school holidays and have just been carving up. So nice. Hopefully they had fun. And hopefully we can convince their dad to bring them on the regular during the school year, but probably not. But yeah, it was
Gotta
nice to
plant the
play.
seed. Plant the seed.
Exactly. It did occur to me. So, I think Know-It-All was like, "Hey, let's try and get them in the Discord." And so we were like, firstly, I couldn't figure out where the invite code is for the Discord, which is something I think that needs to get addressed. It needs to be easier to get people to join it.
Yeah, come on, Discord. What are you doing?
But in hindsight,
yeah.
it was probably a good thing that they couldn't join, because we were sort of trying to go through the process, and Essence was like, "Hey, do they need to be in the Discord?" And I was like, "That's a really good point."
I'm not saying it's like a mature 18 and up Discord, but it's probably at least
It's
like
not for children.
13, like a 14 and up type situation.
Even there, that's borderline pretty young. I'd say probably 15.
Yeah. It
15,
depends.
you're
If you're one of those people who acts like an old man when they're 13, like me, maybe it's okay. But some people hold on to their youth and their childhood and don't hate every second of it. So
yeah, it dawned on me. He made a really good point that like it's probably not a place we need to like have kids try and join, and like
because that 100. I mean, it changes the moderation requirements like a lot, like a lot. So
it kind of I guess it's because the thought process is that the Discord is there to kind of unify the weekly scenes, and kind of funnel them towards tournament play. But yeah, I think maybe there needs to be like a step before that or whatever for the local scenes to have their own kind of, I don't know, updates, like, hey, we're running a members night.
Well, yeah, we can't really capture that middle slice of I guess the Laser Force audience between the filthy casuals and then are unhealthily obsessed with the game and spend thousands of dollars to travel across the world to play it.
Well,
maybe we don't have a lot of settings in between there just yet.
Maybe that's where the local site needs to have their own socials and stuff pushing members nights. Yeah. Okay. So that's probably a good point. Maybe that's something that the site needs to push. I think we're in the process of like rethinking. Okay, how do we get a better presence at Laser Force for members nights? How do we make the public more aware and stuff? So we're talking about addressing some of those questions again, which I think we did in a previous podcast.
We've talked about it a few times. Yeah. Here and there.
Yeah, here and there, mostly there.
If we were smart, we'd have a list of episodes queued up for you, and we could just give you the link. But just go watch all the Resupply shows because they're great. We need to inflate our YouTube numbers, so go get on it, guys.
Do we? Yeah. The boss said, the higher ups, they said, you need to pump those numbers up.
Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good week. What did you guys get up to? You do anything cool? Anything fun?
No. Let's just talk about our topic.
Oh, one last thing. I booked my flights to Japan. So my Japan birthday trip's happening next year. Gonna be sick. And if you guys didn't already see, there was some sort of Duolingo pop-up that came up before. So if you sub to the channel, you get 3 months free of Duolingo Premium. Boom.
See,
Chill.
You should threaten them on air more often. Maybe they'll give you more free stuff.
That's so wild. That's so good. All right. Talk about that. Let's talk about Laser Force. Yeah. Take it away. I actually don't know what we're talking about. I never understood really the concept of what we're about to talk about. So I'm kind of like the audience for this TED Talk.
Well, you always need in any kind of like story, like an audience avatar to just doesn't know what's going on, so they need to explain to them.
Just find me wandering around a parking lot, just lost.
So, yeah, the idea for this came about when we were at Nats, and I was talking to some of the Zone people, and Shaza, she's one of the players who came with them. She didn't play the tournament, but she was hanging out with them and watched all the games and all that. She made a comment to me and was like, hey, is it like normal for games to be and tournaments to be so lopsided as they are? Because it seems like I've been watching all these games and you watch like 5 minutes of a game and it seems like it's already obvious who's going to win the game. Like, I don't even need to watch the rest of it. Like, whoever's ahead after 5 minutes seems like they're obviously going to win. And as time goes on, it's like more and more in favor of who is leading. So it's not even like, oh, they race ahead, then they catch up. They race ahead, then they catch up. It's like, no, some team gets ahead and then they just further and further and further extend their lead and they just wail on people. And I think this was kind of brought up in the context of she was deliberately trying to contrast, saying like in zone tournaments, like there are lots of upsets and there are lots of last minute flips in the tournaments. And I know that has something to do with like the base structure and all that in zone tournaments, because if you do like a last minute base run, right, obviously that can really flip the score because the bases are worth a ton of points relative to like how it operates in SM5. So I was thinking about that and I'm just like, well, all right, number one, I felt like my answer to the question was, well, no, it's not always like this. Like, we do get a lot more close games in some tournaments. It just so happens this particular Brisbane tournament, it didn't really happen. There was a very kind of clear pecking order. I would say pretty much from day one, there was not a lot of movement in between teams after that. And when I thought back on it, I was like, actually, a lot of the Brisbane tournaments, I think all three of the Brisbane tournaments I've been to have all kind of been that way. There hasn't been a lot of like close jockeying for position. Like, we kind of knew after the first round or after the first day, like, yep, okay, here's who's ranked in their spots, like 1 to 8, that kind of thing. So I don't know if this is like a field thing that Brisbane just happens to kind of exacerbate differences between teams, or if that's just kind of coincidence that it happens to be based on the teams who showed up that there was like a well-defined skill gap from A to B to C to D, et cetera, et cetera. But that isn't true at all events. Like, I feel like we've had lots of close, dramatic games, and there are lots of games that do have, lead changes and back and forth and end up being really close. It just didn't happen that much in this game. But it can happen in a lot of competitive situations where losing degenerates really fast and it just becomes a death spiral. And that's kind of what I started thinking about based off of the comment Chaz made to me. And I was like, oh, that is interesting. So let me think about that in kind of more detail about like how this sort of death spiral works in games. And this isn't just exclusive like to SM5. There are lots of games that operate this way where like once a person gets an edge, like it's very difficult to break them out of that, because it happens like in chess. Like, if one player starts losing a bunch of pieces, like probably they're going to lose. Like, once a player has an advantage of 3 or 4 pieces against the other player, like it's increasingly unlikely the person who's behind is going to win. And people brought this up in reference to like combat in D&D also, right? Like, if it starts out where there's 5 people on each side, but then you kill 2 people over here, like it's just going to degenerate from there. Like, as you start losing more and more players, it becomes less and less likely that you'll pull back ahead. So it's sort of a question of like, what is the death spiral and how do you avoid the death spiral as a team? Because like that's probably the more interesting focus on the topic. Because like articulating what it is, like I do like to do kind of a top level analytical breakdown of a concept. That's probably just my philosophy degree coming out. But like the more relevant thing is once the death spiral like if you see the death spiral coming, like how do you pull out of it? How do you get out of it? And how do you stop yourself from just, well, we're losing and we're going to start losing more and more players and we're probably going to get eliminated this game. Like you don't want to give up early. So how do you avoid that?
One of the things with the death spiral though, like there's a, I know, and DK, I think actually, I'm pretty sure both of you guys heard me say this over the years on in games. It about like once you've gotten on top of a team, don't let them back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of the of teams, I feel like teams escaping death spirals is a combination of the team that is on top like getting lazy and not pushing the advantage that they have. Actually, I really feel it's a lot of that and a very small amount of can you counter
Sorry.
when the attacking team who maybe is on top does actually have to you as the team that is behind have to take advantage of when the attacking team makes their small mistakes. And it's harder to take advantage of the small mistakes that your opponent is making when you're already on the back foot.
Mm.
So it is just one of those things where, yeah, if you do get put onto the back foot, trying to get off of it is difficult, and that difficulty is exacerbated with skill differences. Like trying to get off the back foot against Brisbane A, pretty rough. Like
Yeah, it's hard.
you're probably not going to necessarily be able to do it. I mean,
Well, that's the key to how they win,
Yeah.
right? Like
yeah,
we've talked about, like a tidal wave. They go so hard at the start of the game that they just overwhelm the team immediately, and they can never correct that.
yeah. Whereas if you're in a situation where your teams are a little more evenly matched, and I'm not saying that like you can't overcome, you know, a much better team putting you onto the back foot. It's just because it just becomes a little more. It's more unlikely because as a better team, they're less likely to make the small mistakes that give you a chance to, break that, as it
Yeah.
were.
That's where like something like a well-timed nuke can be the
Mhm.
sort of just the small little opening you need to get back into a game if people sort of take advantage of it appropriately and don't just like take it as an 8-second breather of, oh, okay, well, at least now I can grab one resupply, which maybe that's part of it, but you have to do something else with it too if you want to just arrest this kind of free fall that you're in.
Yeah, I would say like the nuke is probably the biggest tool, to overcoming like
Blimey.
spiraling. Because you can capitalize on like an over aggressive team. They're like, oh cool, we got them on the ropes, let's all push out. You drop a nuke, you happen to kick their resupply out of their resupply spot, which depending on the maze might be a better spot to be in than anywhere else in the maze, or I think like maze stuff does come into it as well.
Yeah, and that's like what I started thinking about with this topic is if you really try to define like, well, what is home field advantage? You could say home field advantage is experience, but it's also the experience of like what you need to do in certain game situations. Because basically, you go to a tournament, even if you never played the field, by probably the end of day 1 or 2, like you'll have the basic meta down. Like at the start of the game, you do this, and if you don't, if A doesn't happen, then you switch to option B, and if you get kicked from here, then you go to C. But it's like, but after that, if something goes wrong, you probably just don't have enough experience in the maze to really like know how to come back to that. Whereas if you play it every week, like you're like, okay, well, yeah, if A doesn't happen, then you just switch to strategy B. But strategy B can be countered with strategy C, and then strategy C gets countered by this other one. And like you develop just more and more layers of how you do different things. But if you are just arriving in a field for the first time, or even if you've played it a couple of times, if it's not your regular field, like you probably only get maybe 2 or 3 layers deep in there where it's like, okay, well, we had a plan A and a plan B, and we kind of had a plan C if something goes wrong. But after that, like once you get okay, like say it's Auckland, right? Both teams rush upstairs. You try to take upstairs, but say you don't get it. Okay, cool. You go to disco. What happens if you get kicked from there?
Mm-hmm.
Like if whether or not you have a contingency plan for that is sort of the question, because I feel like most teams can handle getting kicked once, but if you get like kicked from your backup resupply spot, I almost never see teams come back from that.
Yeah, and actually it's become harder in Auckland because of the changes that they've made in Green Base. There's no kind of fallback spot. Yeah.
That now I would think you guys are even more incentivized to like play the sort of blue-based defense type thing, because at least you have a little bit of workable space over there where you don't really have that extra flush valve next to green base anymore.
Yeah.
So I would think you'd be like even more incentivized to push more of your sort of emphasis into the sort of the blue corner.
Yeah, but the difference is you're relying on competency of players to pull that off. You need and like on a members night, that's not going to happen because you've got such a.
Well, you better
Wide
train
range.
people up fast.
I mean, yeah, yeah. It's tough. I mean, I think most people are like, oh, well, we're just both teams are going to hold upstairs for as long as you can.
Or that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that becomes Loveland at that point. Like, yeah.
Yeah, similar thing. Like if you get kicked downstairs, okay, fine. Like you have an option of place you can go. But once a team gets kicked the second time when their converters go downstairs, if teams don't have an idea of what they want to do, like that's how you die.
Yeah.
Like you're dead in Loveland at that point. If you don't have a way to get back into the game after they send their attackers downstairs after you, like what are we doing? Like that needs to be part of the game plan going in.
I wonder if so this question getting posed to you from somebody from the zone scene.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the reason there's no spiral like that is because of the way the games are kind of set out. Like Space Marines, we've talked about, has very much a these different stages of a game, beginning, middle, end kind of stages.
Mm-hmm.
It feels that the majority of the competitive zone games are the same game essentially most of the way throughout. Maybe the difference is like when you've got your base, then your full attention becomes, okay, let's deny the other teams their bases.
Yeah.
But there's no, there's no, oh shit, one of our teammates died out. Now we're outnumbered, or
Right.
at least to the same extent as like Space Marine. So the game itself is kind of set up to
where it forces where it forces death spirals to or can force death spirals to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because the game parameters aren't even the entire way through the game, essentially.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that is essentially inherent, because in an elimination game, like the advantage stacks up quickly. Just having 6 players instead of 5 already gives you a serious advantage of the other team.
Yeah.
And then once you add in the fact that it's like, well, this team can still resupply both of their primary resources, and this team can only resupply one of their resources, like that just magnifies very quickly. So it's like, if you're going to avoid the death spiral, you need to equalize those terms really quickly. Like you can recover from your medic dying first, as long as you kill the opposing medic pretty quickly, or you kill the opposing medic while the other team is overextended.
Yeah.
But if your medic dies and you allow the other team to like fill all the way back up, like you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
that's just math at that point.
That's just math at that point. But it goes to like in other games where you're basically just competing for score, and score happens in a kind of linear fashion. Like theoretically, right, in a football or basketball game, a team can get out way ahead of another team, and the game can still be a blowout. It's not like those things are not known, but there's no mathematical reason why it's harder to score a touchdown at the end of the game versus the beginning. Yes, you have more options if you were ahead, because you can dictate the tempo of the game and all that kind of stuff, but there's nothing mathematically inherent to like the way that the points work changing. It's not like once the other team scores 3 touchdowns, all of a sudden now you have to play with 9 players instead of 11. like obviously that would be a fucking disaster, right?
Yeah.
Like you would just get crushed.
Yeah. And I guess like maybe outside of the all of the non-scout roles, losing any one of those drastically changes the way the game is played for that team.
And if they're competent teams, losing a scout
is equally
could and should be fatal. And like if you're evenly matched,
I just think it doesn't shift the needle quite as much, but it's definitely massively disadvantaged if you lose a scout. But you could still keep it close in a 2-game match. You could keep the match close. Yeah.
But if you had to lose anybody, yes, you would prefer it be a scout, because you can't lose a commander. That completely derails your offensive tempo, and pretty similar thing for the heavy. And you can't lose your resupply. So just by process of elimination, like, well, if I had to lose somebody,
if I had to lose someone, it's got to be
Sorry,
essence.
Tucker.
No.
But that's why they're the hardest to kill. That's why they're the hardest to kill. That's advantage that scouts have is they get to be cockroaches, and
Yeah.
like they're not easy to take out.
Just kidding, Essence. I don't think I don't ever want to lose you. Unless you're on the opposite team. Yeah, right on. So that's interesting because like I guess that's the difference, right? That's the difference between crappy zone. No. but there's another layer of complexity to Space Marines. This is partially why it's such a hard game for most people to kind of grasp and to get into. I was running around on One Life so much, and there had to be someone. Exactly. I'm gonna throw you on the front line. But let's be real. I wish it was know-it-all. No.
I wish it was whoever was trying to take a stupid ceiling shot.
Yeah, whoever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that was know-it-all a lot of the time. That motherfucker shot me like.
I just
4 times
realized the
off
irony of saying that since we're the scumbag team that had somebody originate that plan to begin with. But we didn't tell them to do that. I didn't even know what was happening until it started being used against us.
Fuckers.
Anyway.
Yeah. So how do you stop it?
So when I was examining this whole kind of question, I'm just like, this ultimately kind of defines why I think the mid game is so important and why having a solid handle on the mid game is what separates a merely good team from like a great team or an elite team. Is like most everybody can come up with a decent strategy for the opening because it's easy to tell everybody, okay, at the start, you go here, you go here, you go here, you try to get these areas. It's like, but after that, the game is so dynamic that you can't just say, okay, well, if X happens, then do Y, because it's like you're accounting for 6 different players in their team, what they're doing, what you're doing in response to them. So you have to be able to read on like a second to second basis. Okay, well, I know if those 2 people went over there, I need to move over here to get an angle to support this player, et cetera, et cetera. And right, you're already thinking about probably 20 different things, or you should be anyway. Like, avoiding problems. Like I thought about this a lot in the Brisbane tournament. Avoiding problems and avoiding getting flushed from an area, you have to really think like 2 steps ahead. Like you're not safe in the new tower if you don't control blue tower. And likewise, you're not safe in back tower if you don't control green tower. Like that is your signal that you're about to lose it, is when the other team has occupied that key area. You need to be like, hey guys, our priority right now is we take that back. Because if you don't take that back in the next 10 seconds, we're getting flushed. Whether we get flushed now or when we see their heavy walking toward us, so we know the nuke's about to go off, like it's about to go bad. So we better have some way to counter this. Like being able to see that kind of thing coming. And I think that's just kind of like how the meta has evolved in the last few years, that you don't see teams completely screw up the early game as much anymore. But I feel like it is kind of around that mid game phase where you really start seeing the skill differential in between teams, and where teams that practice better resource management, that becomes like everything. Because as much as we say like, right, Brisbane will punch you in the mouth and then they will just keep the rolling pressure on you and never let you back up. But it's not because they're just constantly sending 4 attackers into you until they run out of resources and they have to go back. Like they're constantly cycling people, and they know to like adjust their tempo of, I need about this many shots at this phase of the game. I don't want to come back completely out because I need to be able to adjust to this and that. So like people coming back chronically low, that's like literally one of the first things I will try to fix in someone's game if I'm training them up for a Nats team or a league team, or just trying to give them pointers on things. It's like, hey, you're coming back way too depleted on resources. Like the first mistake people make is like they hang back too much and they think they just need resources constantly. But then the second mistake is they get way too aggro, they stay out too long, and then they come back and they only have 6 shots and 3 lives. And
yeah, or they get caught on a nuke, or
so that's when that type of thing is going to happen if you're not managing your resources. It's like finding that kind of middle ground and not overcommitting one way or another in the early game, because teams can easily overcommit on offense. Like in 2024 in Loveland, that was kind of like how we managed to sort of push back against Cedar City in a lot of games. Was we knew they were going to be super, super aggressive, out the gate. So if we could just manage our resources a little bit better, so when they exhaust that initial attack, then we just immediately counterattack and push back on them. That kind of worked, but you can't go so far in the other direction where it's like, well, the other team's super aggro, so we're just kind of gonna turtle. Like, you have to be able to pivot and move forward and control space, and not just be like, well, we're just gonna turtle, we're just gonna focus everything on defense. If you focus everything on defense, you're probably not doing the things that you need in order to like transition and swing the game in the other direction properly.
It's so hard to teach that stuff too, because
Yeah.
I've had players in Auckland ask me, one in particular actually sent me a list of stuff that they would like to kind of address from a coaching standpoint, and one of the things they asked was, hey, can you break down the game to situations like, if this happens then do this, or at this point of the game go do this? And I was like, honestly, I can't. Like, one, I'm not competent enough teacher to do that, but two, there's, in my mind, there's so many variables that come into it. There's not just a single, okay, if A happens then do B, because
it's very much if A happens, then do B, unless C, D, E, F, or G are happening.
Yeah.
And then you have
and each of those has its own special case.
Yeah. And then you've got to apply like bed mass to your way that you break the game down to, because now I've chucked some brackets in there and shit, and it's getting messy. But yeah, it's hard. And to your point as well from before, about like people kind of overcompensating. One thing I'm kind of guilty of is with newer players, to kind of counteract them being too timid, or staying in the resupply too long, is, especially now with the gun counter, be like, all right, you see your lives on there, when that reaches 10, then you come back and see me. Don't come back before then.
Sure.
And maybe that's kind of coaching the wrong thing. I don't know.
But I mean, that's good to tell a newer player. You don't want to completely inundate a newer player with so much information to be like, well, I can't explain it. You'll just have to feel your way through it. Like, that's not helpful. You do want to have at least some kind of concrete piece of advice, and more than that, you do want to be able to articulate kind of general principles for people, which I think is sort of the better way to approach kind of big picture strategy. Is, we want our team to be able to do this. We win the game by achieving these objectives. So let's break down, how do we achieve these objectives, and ask yourself at any given moment, like, what am I doing in furtherance of this particular goal? Like, when someone says, I'm going to go out and attack, well, what does that mean? What are you trying to achieve with that attack? Where are you attacking from? What's the state of the game? Like, what are the other players doing? So like, you'll need to be able to adjust those things on the fly. And there are some players like a Thunder, for instance, like pretty much will know like what to do for almost any state of the game. Like, okay, this is happening, so I need to do this. But right, for a lot of players, it kind of the first level of analysis is like attack and defense. Am I on attack or am I on defense right now? And as you get more experience, as you start thinking about the game at a deeper level, you start to realize that those are actually kind of arbitrary concepts, and that, I don't know, like it's all kind of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, all samey type thing.
Yeah, you're playing laser tag is what you're doing. Specifically, you're playing Space Marines.
Yeah.
And then even more granular, you're playing whatever role you're playing. Whatever that means.
Yeah, you're just in a flow state of laser tag, trying to
drop
people
5 nukes on Sneak. Allegedly.
Yeah,
I mean,
it would be so mean to drop the nukes early and kill them out. So instead, I'll just dunk thunderously in their faces at the end of the game.
Yeah, there's a couple of like, Sneak's son plays with us now on the regular, and he was like,
nice.
How many was that? It's like, that's 5. He's like, whoa. I was like, yeah, pretty good.
I'm sorry.
You're like, someday you won't be impressed by that kid. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's such a weird concept. Like, yeah, Sneak's son is old enough to play with you guys. Like, fuck.
He bought his daughter last week. He bought one of his daughters last week, and it was like playing with a mini Magra. It was wild. It blew my mind. Yeah.
We are all so old. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're getting there.
whatever.
All right. What else? What else on this topic? If I was the audience, I'd say, so what's next in the death spiral?
I mean, the biggest thing I would say that if you're trying to avoid the death spiral, this is mostly about the recovery process. And I would, certainly implicate myself and my own team from the last Nats in this, is that with recovery strategies, you have to be able to balance sort of the defense you're setting in a new area with actively resupplying players. So,
Yeah.
like, it's one thing to be able to say, all right, if anything goes wrong, we're going to go downstairs and go to bilge, and we're going to fill up and bilge. But like, to fill up and bilge, you need to actually have control over a larger area than you would think. Like, you essentially need to have like 2 pickets who are checking sort of the green side hallway, and then who are checking sort of the entrance over next to the prison to let you know when attackers are coming in. And then like one person cycles in, gets a resupply, does a backtrack, or switches place with somebody else to like get that going. And like, we didn't have a good time. Like, number one, we weren't good about going to builds, and we should have. And I take the blame for myself as much as anything else.
That's so far
but
away.
2, it's so far away. And that was the thing half the time was like, let's just move like 1 tower over and see if we can get this back rather than completely bailing and going to build. And I will defend that in a lot of cases as saying that is a superior correct move, because you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you go all the way down and like the medic loses 5 lives because you're just having to dash across the entire field and you're getting constant reset. Like, that's not helpful. And something that I've talked about with some other really good players, I think in recent years, especially a lot of the better heavies, they get really frustrated when their resupply crashes out too fast. And it's like, if you guys just give me 8 seconds, I will take that back for you. Please don't run away too far. Like, if you need to get away so that the medic doesn't get reset 3 times, like, that's fine. But just have kind of a quick crash out area and not like completely reorient the strategy. Like, the tendency toward premature panic is another one of those things that I think ultimately divides kind of like really strong teams and really strong resupply players from people who get put on resupply because they're not good enough to be attackers.
Premature panic. This has never happened to me before.
It's a sweet emo band.
But that to me speaks to why I think, like, in the modern SM5 meta, like, you can't really have a weak spot on your team. Like, it used to be that it's like, well, the resupply players, they're just heal bots. They're going to sit in the corner. They're going to resupply their players. So it doesn't really matter if you have really good players there or not. But now it's like everybody's good enough that your resupply players need to be an active part of the team. They need to be an active part of the game. And if they're not, you are losing something as a team.
Yeah.
You're giving something up.
I mean, like, so for me, as being predominantly a heavy player, if I can't trust my resupply, then I can't do my job properly. It makes it so much harder for me to be able to focus on the many things I have to do.
The whole thing around having a strong resupply, it's not the whole thing about having a strong resupply is you are taking cognitive load off of your teammates. Because if you have a weak resupply, Steve, like you said, with a weak resupply, you are having to think for them as a heavy, and as a heavy, you've already got enough things to think about. 100%. Like, you've got a whole bunch of things to think about. Having to think about what 2 other people should be doing, not ideal. Whereas if you've got a strong resupply that is, basically fully in control of themselves and what they need to do and synergize well with their heavy, now suddenly the heavy's cognitive load goes from, oh god, I have to control all of these things, to, oh, really, I just have to worry about shooting dumb motherfuckers who are trying to get in to hit my resupply. Okay, this is cool. I only have to worry about 4 angles now instead of 12, because I'm only having to think for myself and not 2 other people.
Part of that as well is like, if your resupply understands when to resupply the heavy, and the heavy doesn't have to think about asking for it. Like, the resupply knows, all right, well, I know that he's keeping out a 3 hit right now. Sweet. Why, I see their lights dim.
Yep.
Like that sort of stuff is so good. Just to frees them up to do what they need to be doing. I got a question on for you guys, like specific to like death spirals. Given the mazes that we currently have active for tournament play, which ones do you think which mazes do you think are more likely to cause a faster death spiral than the other ones? And I guess we'll start with Brisbane because it's the one that we've just played, and that's in, and it's kind of easy.
Brisbane's a death spiral maze.
Yeah.
Like 100%. But part of the reason Brisbane is such a death spiral maze, like Brisbane is an exacerbated death spiral maze against home teams because of how idiosyncratic it is.
Yeah.
There's so many weird quirks to that maze that if you're playing a home team and you start losing, you probably fucked. As a general, just because it is so idiosyncratic. But even with two neutral teams playing in it, because it is so kind of weird. Same sort of thing. Like the death spiral crash out isn't necessarily going to happen as fast against a home team, but it's still going to happen.
Ultimately, I still think of Brisbane as being a little bit more forgiving if you have teams that are of relatively comparable skill, or you have like two away teams, just because it is so large. It's difficult to just concentrate enough force to completely disrupt another team and cause that kind of immediate death spiral. Fair. Relative to like St. George is an example of, it's a very small field, so it's like if you position your players appropriately, like it's very difficult for a team really to get a foothold in another area of the maze. If you really control space properly, like the really good St. George players are capable of doing, like it's really difficult to reestablish someplace new because it plays so much smaller and you can see where the other team goes so easily. Whereas in Brisbane, like if you scatter, like we saw this against the Olympus team in the early days, even though the Olympus team weren't really fighting back, they were just scattered so effectively, like you couldn't track them all down. You were running around the whole game, and it was like they could run out the clock that way, and you wouldn't necessarily be able to afford to do that in a smaller field.
What do you guys think about Syracuse? And now I've only played a couple of games of tag there, so I don't really know how it plays competitive, but what do you guys think?
I'd kind of put it in the middle because it is a quicker field, because it like there isn't anything like ramps, so you can't go downstairs to give yourself some cover or anything like that. But it's long enough on its axis that you still have to cross like a good amount of space before you get to where the other team is. So there's a lot of like midfield back and forth that you can do. So I would probably put Syracuse kind of like in the middle for that. Maybe I would say it plays a little bit faster than an average maze, but I don't know. Maybe Syracuse is like the median field. Let me think about it more.
So it used to be a bowling alley, is that right? Or am I remembering that incorrectly? Like in my head, the way I picture it is it's like vast. It's like at least
it is
at least one, if not two, basketball, maybe football field. It's a football field size area. Like in my head, it's massive, but like that's been a long time since I was there and only saw it briefly. So
that might be right. It might be, I don't know if it's quite like 100 meters long or anything, but it definitely has a long axis than a lot of mazes, because most mazes are still relatively square in their layout just because that tends to be efficient for using space. But Syracuse is truly a rectangle. So it does, the geometry of it is a little bit different than other fields, which makes it interesting. Think about that.
Yeah. It kind of, like it would remind me of kind of like football. Like you have to kind of, I'm talking about American football. You kind of have to like control your thirds
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that definitely is more the key to field control in Syracuse, because I think that is what makes it interesting, and it's a similar thing that what makes Brisbane interesting is like you need to control 3 areas in order to effectively mount an attack, but you can probably only actually get 2 of them.
Right.
Like if you're truly better than the other team, like you could probably get all 3 of those areas and you'll just wail on them. But in all likelihood, you're gonna have to prioritize 2. And then if you leave the third, and like that kind of lets the enemy team back in, that's where the dynamism comes from. And like you have to be able to adjust to things very quickly. Because
Mm.
it's like, yeah, in Brisbane, you'd love to be able to have the green tower and the helm and the blue tower. But when are you ever going to control all 3 of those? Like you're going to have to concentrate on 2 of those, right?
Yeah. Okay. Detroit always seemed kind of I don't know. Again, I've only played one tournament there. It seemed a little less death spirally
Yeah,
because you have
it's slow.
options. Yeah.
Detroit's just massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even that the field itself is massive, it's that the space is utilized in such a way that it's more difficult to navigate as an attacker, because you can't just go like you can't make a lot of straight cuts to go to places. You usually have to go up and around, and you might have to go up and then over and then back down to get to another area.
Yeah.
And there are enough valves that it's like it's difficult to break all the way into another team to break them. And even then, it's always like a phased kind of withdrawal, because even if you kick from the top of the ramp, you can probably still hang out midway on the ramp for at least another resupply cycle. And if you kick from there, then you can go down to the base of the ramp. And if you kick from there, then you can go to one of the corners. So it's like there's always a kind of like incremental step that you can take to avoid getting completely crushed until like teams start converging and hitting you from multiple sides. But it's like in order to do that, they have to send somebody all the way down their ramp, all the way across the field. So stuff just takes longer. So
Yeah.
it is a slower field. It's probably the slowest of the competitive fields that we have right now, which doesn't necessarily make it bad, but it does play differently from other fields.
Auckland.
Death spiral.
Yeah. Because it's so small.
Auckland plays fast. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And
so faster mazes are more likely to promote a death spiral happening more easily, I guess is just all we're
it makes sense because the game becomes more offense dominated in a small maze, I would say.
Well, but then then you have something like Loveland, which is not a small maze, but is also a death spiral maze because of the lack of essentially the lack of effective fallback resupply spots. Like you get kicked from the 3rd floor, you get kicked down to the ground floor. If you are not off the ground floor in like 30 seconds, you're probably fucked.
Yeah.
Like you if you end up hanging out on the ground, we'll even go up to like 45 seconds. But if you're on the ground floor for more than 45 seconds after a kick, you're probably fucked. You are probably not going to have a good time, and you are probably going to get just absolutely fucking wrecked.
It's again a question of how do you control space effectively, because you can't just control your immediate area. Like if you're in one of the caves underneath the ramp,
Yeah,
you have almost no visibility there. So you need to have people who are positioned to take down attackers before they become a problem for you. So if you're in like the blue cave, you need to have somebody over by the red rock area who can see people coming down the green ramp and sort of pinging shots across them as they turn that corner. So like we kind of try to come up with some variations on that in 24, but it's just you're still fighting a losing battle. You do need to get back upstairs and you need to time that effectively. So it's not even like a number of seconds you're there. It's just like, okay, as soon as you see the enemy heavy or you see both enemy 3 hits downstairs, that needs to be a signal that, nope, you're booking it upstairs. And you're taking whichever ramp they're not occupying. And you have to crash through and reestablish upstairs, because otherwise you're going to be caught in the death spiral. So like commit to knowing when you need to change tactics. And like, honestly, I've seen this more in the last few years. In some cases, like the correct move when you get kicked is like the quote unquote the board flip maneuver, where you just take the enemy team's resupply. Like if they've sent all their attackers at you, well, just have the rest of your team just migrate over to them and kick them from where they resupply, or just switch spots with them.
It's kind of how it works in Auckland as well. Like there's so many times where a heavy will run out for an attacking run, and that'll get seen, and so you can run the gamut of, all right, well, let's just rush their resupply, kick them out. Yeah,
Yeah.
And it
Like
works a
rather
lot.
than going to like a fallback resupply spot, which might be more defensible but leaves you fewer options, it might be better to just try to like turn your loss into like a counterattack and push them off.
Yeah, if you got to move anyway,
Mhm.
move
Like-
move into their space or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we did that in 2 games in Brisbane because we basically had no choice because they decided to just bum rush red off the starts. We were like, okay, I guess we'll just go to back tower instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, like don't go downstairs. It's like, well, obviously they want this area. They've sent everybody here. They're leaving the area that they're quote unquote supposed to take open. But that's also why I like fields like Auckland and St. George, because it's like you're not necessarily guaranteed that the opposing team is going to do the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Like they might try to take a different area than what you think, and that's why I like those fields, because I think they're interesting.
Yeah. Although, when you think about it like that, so when you guys kind of changed the meta of how we play Auckland when you were here, sometimes you need other people to come in and show you the things that you're not kind of utilizing in your space, because you get stuck in your ruts and you play the way that you play because that's how you've always played. So it is nice to see.
Yeah, well, like in 2011, the first time that we went to Syracuse, like when we got there, Syracuse was like, oh, great, the green side is awesome, and Edor, whatever, like that's just trash. Like nobody can play that. That's like just the worst fucking place. And like literally within like the first day, like every visiting team is like, you guys are fucking stupid. This is the best fucking place in the whole goddamn maze.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes you do need that kind of outside perspective of, okay, you're not seeing the forest for in the trees here. This is actually pretty cool. Having said that, there is a certain amount of like, when you do go into somebody's maze and they do say, oh, this spot actually sucks. You may want to, listen to that as well. You can experiment with a spot that, the home team says sucks, but it probably does suck.
The amount of times Nats have been to in Brisbane where you look at the build and you're like, oh, that would be that's a sweet spot to hold. We should just go to the build right away. It happens almost every year. You're like, you learn pretty quick. No, the locals don't go there for a reason. Yeah.
Or they know how to get you out of there real quick. Because I think that was half the time why we like didn't go to build in a fallback spot, because like 2 games we did it, there was like already somebody in there waiting for us. Like, yeah, they know they know you're gonna fucking go to build. So
yeah.
Maybe don't be there.
Did I miss any mazes?
No.
For shits and giggles, what about Sacramento?
Sacramento was still a little bit on the slower side, because there were actual fallback spots downstairs where you could kind of regroup and you could get back up an opposing ramp. At least, in my opinion, it was much more. Like, I would rate it probably a little bit more on the slow side versus the super fast side.
Yeah, once the exit to the dungeon got covered, so you could actually hang out in dungeon and not get shot from above.
Yeah.
And then with the changes that happened with the switchback ramps and whatnot, like suddenly that there were a lot more options, and so you had more ways to try to more places to fall back and try to regroup and get out of a spiral. Thanks. Now I'm sad, Steve-O. Thanks for that.
Thank you
so much.
It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel things.
Yeah. A place we haven't played for 6 years, but it still feels like a very fresh wound.
Yeah, 6 years isn't that long, but it also feels like
it's not that long, but it is kind of a long time.
Yeah, it feels like it's been gone a long, long time.
Yeah.
That's 6 years, really? Only 6 years?
Yeah, closed in 2019.
Yeah, I was gonna say my dad like passed in 2019, so like we lost two of the greats.
Yep.
But that, I mean, like Sacramento feels like it's been gone longer than that for me, at least. Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
It feels like a long time and yet not that long. It's very weird. It's a weird kind of like juxtaposition to have in my head, because in some ways it's like, oh yeah, if I can remember a Nats that happened that year, it wasn't that long ago.
And then
Yeah.
it's like,
But,
oh, but I've been to a whole bunch of Nats, so maybe
Yep.
it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything prior to the just prior to the fucking
World ending?
pandemic. I forgot the word.
Yeah. I mean,
No-
that's definitely like a big kind of slash mark on the calendar that where
Yeah.
you can definitely make a division between the before 4 times and then the aftermath.
Yeah, and the previous one to that was like the GFC.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any final thoughts on this? Are we even close to final thoughts? Do you have much more you want to do?
Like-
I think we're
Like
good.
really the only other question I would ask is that, given there is that kind of difference between like sports that can have a death spiral because the odds get increasingly stacked against you, and those that play, you know, quote unquote, like even the whole way through, are sports that are like more linear in that sense, are they better to watch than a sport where you can have a death spiral and it's like, well, yeah, I've watched 5 minutes of this and I know how it's going to end. I mean, I guess like some boxing matches are like that too, that it's like you can tell after 1 or 2 rounds, like, oh, this is not going to go well for that other guy.
Sailing is kind of like that. Watching, you know, being from New Zealand, specifically Auckland, like we watch the America's Cup, you know, a decent amount, especially in the last like decade where the boats became basically Formula One cars on water, as
Really?
opposed to yeah, dude, it's so much better now rather than watching.
I was like, is there a big market for the sailing?
Oh,
Yes.
bro, yeah.
I guess
it's
there is.
huge, Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
What I don't know could fill a barn.
The next America's Cup, 100% watching at least a race, but they have death spiral, Geelong Cats, boo. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it is cool to watch. I like sports, and I don't care who knows.
Wow, bold taking a bold stand.
Yeah, that's
for the kids right
a
there,
hot
Steve.
take there, Steve-O.
Yeah,
the hot take.
shout out to Lonely Island. But watching game, so like American football is quite good in that a game can look like it's like it had a death spiral and then a team will come back and win it. Like a team's never technically truly out of it. Like you said, you know, you don't get punished if you got 3 touchdowns scored against you. You don't have to lose a player.
No more kicker. Get him out of here.
Yeah. Although, you know, in like rugby, if you do something bad, you can get like yellow or red carded, right? So there is those things. But
True.
generally you have to infringe to do something to get a person set up. Anyway.
Yeah, it's not like part of the inherent setup of the
That's
game.
right. And watching those kind of sports, I think, is probably a lot more enjoyable because you get enjoyment from the full length of the game. Like at any moment, the game can kind of switch. And technically, that can happen with Space Marines, but it's a lot less common. Like if you are truly in a death spiral, the likelihood of being able to pull out of that is very, very low. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, again, like I think about like the last game of the 23 finals with like us versus Brisbane, like things went bad from the start of the game, but like if you want an example of like how a team will do everything possible to avoid the death spiral, like that's like really good example because like they managed to like try to hold back the tide as valiantly as they possibly can, and it's like it there wasn't quite enough time.
Yeah.
But like that's as close as you can, and like that's how a highly skilled team should try to keep themselves back in the game. Because sometimes you open a game and it's like, okay, we kicked them from the spot they wanted. We killed their medic early. This is just going to be a quick mop up. But it's like you had to utilize every second of that game, and you couldn't like do something stupid for 30 seconds because you would get punished for it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like it would probably be it's probably more spectator friendly to watch some of the zone tournaments. I mean, I really enjoyed my brief stint going up and watching it in person because, you know, it's a game that I wasn't really that sure on what was happening, but like, you know, whoever has the biggest score is the winner.
It's like me watching Aussie rules football. I'm like, I didn't know that play was legal, but hey, it seems like everybody's having a good time. These guys are trying to get the ball over there. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, that's directed squarely at you there too. Shout out Geelong.
Yeah. So maybe we're not the most spectator-friendly sport, but I don't care. I'm not a spectator. I'm a player.
Hey, too, did you see my shirt? Check it out. It's cool. It's really cool. Yeah, all right. Good chat, everyone. I think we the congratulations all around. Good job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job by you.
All right. Next week. Do we have a show next week?
We don't have a show next week.
I will not be here next week.
So no show next week.
Than doesn't want to talk to me, so probably no show next week. But we don't have much in the way of events and stuff coming. Boo on you. Yeah, but I mean, just keep an eye on the Discords. We'll let you know when we are going live and when we've decided to go to Popeyes instead.
If you do want some Laser Force content, I bet there will be games that are streamed from Syracuse next week, since there are quite a few California and Utah people who are making their way to Syracuse to do a little mini, not even like mini comp, but you know, some extended members nights with a little bit more structure than just, you know, open random games. So
hell yeah,
that'll probably be. I think they're planning to start at 4 p.m. Eastern time in the States, so you can plug that into your calendars. I don't know if they're going to stream everything, but I imagine there will probably be some streams that go up. So if you're dying for Laser Force content, that's probably going to happen next week. It'll be on the Laser Force Tournaments Twitch.
Yeah, go follow them and chat. Laser Force Tournaments. Go follow them. Get your fix. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, I think we're good.
Sick.
We're good.
Beans, are you streaming anything next week? Tell us in chat right now.
Dude, I got so much Lego. I really want to do some more Lego streams. I've been parting out finally parting out a bunch of these game down decisions. These sets that I have lying around. And I kind of want to get to building some of them on stream. So I'm itching to do a stream at some point. Oh, I'm also learning how to DJ.
Dope.
So maybe we'll do that on stream too. But until then, for this week, I've been DJ Guy Next Door.
I've been DK.
And I've been Than.
Always remember to fucking check your Stream Deck settings before you start, so you can click the right button. That one there. All right, kids. Always remember to backtrack. We'll see you maybe next week or the week after. Or we'll see you. Love you all. Love you. See you guys soon. Bye.
I've been throwing daggers in the night. I've been chasing all the stars, stealing all their lights. The cut so sharp, cut so deep. If they seem to hit their target, must be what we reap. 'Cause you don't know what I know. You don't feel the way I feel. And all these places I wanna go makes me wonder if
Bye.